let's begin. And it is my pleasure to be here, an honor to be here at Recrea Academy in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. I've been to this beautiful city about 5 or 6 times, and it's been wonderful every time I've been here. So thank you for the invitation, and thank you for spending your time with me here today to hear about the opportunities we have to teach in the United States. All right? I hope you can see these screens, but I'll be talking about all the information anyway. So, again, the topic we're going to discuss, please. Sure, yes, I would encourage you to move closer if you can.
Les invitamos
so
a que
you can see
vengan
the
un poco
screen.
más cerca, ya que las pantallas están pequeñas. Can you please forward?
Yeah,
Thank
please.
you.
Yeah, it's not like church. You can move to the front. It's okay.
We're going to charge you the same thing if you're sitting in the back.
That's right.
No, you're good.
Perfect. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Okay. Again, my name is Jason Hammond Garcia. I'm the president of International Alliance Group in representing the charity today and the work that we do in helping to provide pathways for teachers from Mexico specifically to come to the United States. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background or set the context just as you would if you're teaching a lesson so that you can figure out why this is so important besides an excellent opportunity to go to another country. Okay? So, right now we have a situation in the United States where our diversity of students is not matching the diversity of teachers. Or actually, it's the diversity of teachers is not matching our students, okay? We're experiencing a huge population growth in the United States, specifically of Hispanic or Latino students. And our teacher workforce continues to maintain a very high level, about 75% white or Caucasian females. That's who generally our teachers are in the United States, which is not reflective of our diverse student body. So we have to look at things here as how diverse is the teaching workforce. As I just mentioned, it's not diverse right now. And we want the elementary and secondary teaching force to look more like the United States of America. We want it to look more like the students when it comes to culture, background, and language. It's very important, as we'll discuss later. So we'll talk about why is this a problem. Well, we know that research tells us that students of color increasingly lack adult role models and interaction with teachers who share their racial and cultural background, all of which worsens the achievement gap. Okay? There's a lot of research on this, and we'll discuss this in why it's important as we continue on. In 2018, approximately 40% of the nation's population and 51% of all elementary and secondary school students were from underrepresented racial ethnic groups. And the largest population group are Hispanics, okay? But only 20% of all K through 12 teachers were from these underrepresented racial ethnic groups. It's very important, and it is a problem, and that's why we're here, to see what we can do about that. Again, the teaching force remains primarily white and female, and a gap continues to persist between the percentage of students and the percentage of teachers from these underrepresented racial ethnic groups. Here is a guide that can show you here, a graph that shows you what the U.S. population is, what the students are, and then, of course, what the teachers are represented. So I just want to focus in here on the bottom where it says Hispanic or Latino. The U.S. population, at this time, this is a little older because it is higher. It's more like a quarter of the U.S. population now. But at this time for the research, it's 18.3%, with the students being 25.7%, because we love our big Hispanic families, including some of my own. But the teacher workforce continues to only represent 9.1% of the teacher workforce. So that's a problem. Continuing with the context here, it's important to notice not only are we having a hard time recruiting teachers for our students, our Hispanic students, but many of the teachers we already have, or teachers of color as we're referring here because it's all the minority groups in the U.S., they're leaving their schools or leaving teaching at high rates. very high rates. There's a lack of teacher diversity, and it's become a major civil rights issue in the United States today because of lack of representation. The National Education Association estimates there's a shortage of roughly 300,000 teachers in the U.S. right now. 300,000 teachers. And we've had to do a lot of creative things in the United States to make it with 300,000 short teachers. We've had to combine classrooms, get very creative where we have master teachers, 3 teachers teaching a group of 150 students. Now that's not everywhere, but that's in certain places where they have real shortage issues. In my home state of our office in Arizona, we can see that for the 7th consecutive year, we continue to have a shortage where 26.6% of teacher vacancies remain unfilled throughout the entire year. It's more than a quarter of the teaching vacancies from the beginning of the year are not filled by the end of the year. While 41.7% of the vacancies are filled, so almost half of the vacancies that we do have are filled with teachers who don't meet the regular standard certification requirements, which means they did not go to school to be a teacher. That's not good. We do what we have to do because kids still have to learn, but that's a less than ideal situation. Latino students, about 27% of the K-12 student population nationwide are made up of Latino students. That's a large group. And in districts like New York and Los Angeles, they make up 40%, that's in New York, and 75% of Los Angeles student population are Hispanic. Those are huge. Those are huge percentages. And again, remember, their teachers are predominantly white females, okay? Which is nothing wrong, right? We were very thankful for our white female teachers, but we need to reflect the community. So recent studies shows or delved into the question, does student-teacher ethno-racial matching impact the likelihood or severity of exclusionary discipline for Latin students in a large, diverse urban school district? Don't you just love research topics? I'm sure that was someone's dissertation. In fact, I know it is because it's part of my research that I'm doing. But the research topics have to be so specific. But what we've learned in much research, the body of work has shown that there's a disproportionate number of students of color getting expelled or kicked out of school or severe discipline compared to their white counterparts. And we know a lot of that is because of a disconnect or a lack of cultural relevance or cultural understanding. Because there is a lot of power when a child sees themselves reflected in their teacher, reflected in their background, reflected in their culture, reflected in their language, and then that teacher is able to draw into engagement not only the student but their family into the educational process. That's such a huge part, we know as educators, of getting students to achieve their goals. So again, representation matters, and Latino teachers are good not only for our Latino students, they're good for all students. And that's what we're here to talk about, an intercultural exchange. So we know that the trend of the teacher shortage was exacerbated as resignations and retirements hit record levels nationally in the U.S. in 2021. And on March 28, 2022, U.S. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona from Puerto Rico issued a call to action to all stakeholders that we have a big problem. And I was fortunate to take part in the National Educator Shortage Summit. In Orlando, Florida, we met. We had teacher union leaders. We had College of Education leaders. Myself, I represented the teacher exchange programs. We had district leaders from all around the United States, from the cities to the countryside. And we talked about how this is a problem for all of us and what can we do to get more teachers in front of our students in the pre-K through 20 education community. Okay? And what we found as we discussed, and we discussed all of the things that we had been experiencing, whether it be in Arizona or New York or Nebraska or Michigan or Alaska. And we discovered 5 different points that were raising up to the top. They're salient points. And we realized what we need to do is we need to create pathways to careers and education. We need to provide educators with more resources to do their job. We need to increase educator pay. And all God's people said, amen, or to that one. Yes, we hope so. Well, we have to. I mean, in the United States, we really have to. And we're doing it, thankfully. We have to support employee wellness, especially as we went through the pandemic. We realize it's not just the students that suffered socially and emotionally. Also, we as educators suffered socially and emotionally. And we need support so that we can be happy and whole and well, so that we can project that on our students to be healthy, happy, and well. And we need to promote the profession. One thing I love many things about Mexico, but one of the things I love is that it's still, as an educator, it commands respect and honor. And, you know, in the United States, we've struggled with that because, unfortunately, lately, teachers have become the scapegoat to blame for the ills of society. It's not right, but we're working hard to take that back. And I come from a long line of educators myself. Oh, here I am. This picture is I'm with some of the leaders at the Normal for the preschoolers in Guatemala City, and you can see all of them are young female students going to school to be preschool teachers there. We went and invited them to participate. But what we're doing here is we decided as we looked at all this. Because my own background, as I mentioned, I am a teacher. First, I was a seminarian. I went to school for the ministry, and I'm very thankful for that background. I also had the background in my family, and it served me well, but I realized I wanted to be an educator, so I switched to education later on. I began my teaching career on the south side of Chicago, Illinois, in 100% African-American schools. 100% African-American. And I loved it. I had such a great experience. I never had more respect as a teacher as I did there at the schools in Southside Chicago. But that's where I started. And I found my way. I was actually born in Lubbock, Texas. I found my way back from the north to Phoenix, Arizona, where I taught on the south side of Phoenix and then downtown Phoenix. Eventually went in, I taught history, so I taught junior high U.S. history. Is my favorite subject matter. And I went in to human resources, and I became the youngest human resource director in the history of the state and the 150 years of the district. It was a great honor. I spent 10 years doing that, and that was enough. Human resources can be very difficult, especially when you don't have enough teachers. But through that time, I'm thankful I was able to serve as the president of our professional association in the state of Arizona, and then become very active in the national ASPA, which is the American Association of School Personnel Administrators. And so as I began to meet with my colleagues around not only the state of Arizona, but around the country, again, we discussed that there are these major issues, that we do not have enough teachers, number one. Number two, we do not have teachers that match the demographics of our student population. What are we going to do about it? Because we know we don't have these young people, we don't have Latino and Latina young people coming up through the ranks at the universities to become teachers. You know, in the United States, we don't have normales. In the old days, we used to call our teaching schools normales. My great-grandmother went to a normal. But now it's left to really the state and the state public and the private universities to train the teachers at the colleges of education. But at the same time, as we mentioned, that we had a decrease in teachers, the great resignation time after the pandemic, we also it coincided with lower numbers of teaching students going to universities to become teachers. This all happened at the same time. The pandemic just made it worse. But going back to what we're talking about as a collective group of personnel administrators, we said, what can we do? We're not going to be able to find the teachers here locally to match our student demographics. So the close proximity to Phoenix, Arizona, to Sonora, We're very good neighbors, and we have the Arizona-Mexico Commission. And through that commission, we're able to enter into a memorandum of understanding. And we're able to bring our first teachers on the J-1 visas. We brought 36 teachers from Sonora alone. In the first year, we brought 75 teachers for cohort 1. The second year, we brought 300. And so now we have over 400 teachers. And now the State Department is giving us more visas. We continue to be successful because we are a United States Department of State approved private program called Bridge USA. And we are looking forward to bringing 500 minimum new teachers for this coming school year. Okay? So again, some of the early work that where we started with Mexico has been in Sonora and of course Baja California, especially in Mexicali with UABC, with the Normales there, and then a lot of work we've done has been in Guatemala. We have quite a few teachers from Guatemala, thanks to the to Miniduc, the Ministry of Education there. Okay, and I forget, I've got to change these. Where are we now? So, brings us back to why we're here and why we're talking about these opportunities. So now I've set that context. You can see why this is so important to us to be here with you in Guadalajara and in Mexico. Because we know that you develop and you have been practicing wonderful educators who are highly effective, highly trained in pedagogy and instructional skills and strategies. So now we just have to talk about specifically what are some of those requirements that we need and what is the mode or the method we're able to bring the teachers. We do use the J-1 visa. The J-1 visa is an intercultural exchange visa that's approved initially for 3 years. It's renewable at the end of those 3 years for 2 additional years for a total of 5 years. And we encourage all teachers that participate in the program to look at this as a full 5-year potential because the schools are paying the prices for everything. We don't charge teachers anything to be part of this program. All the fees are covered on the visa side by the school district. That is how we fund this. We are looking for teachers in the K through 12 setting or pre-K through 12 setting. We need teachers at the elementary level and the secondary level. And the 3 specialties that are in need the most are math, science, and special education. Those are the 3 greatest needs are math, science, and special education. However, we have openings at every level, every grade level, every subject matter. Okay? It's important to note, as I said before, the ITA, or the International Teacher Alliance, is part of a national initiative, a U.S. Department of State program called Bridge USA. And what we strive to do is we develop an environment for professional development, cultural appreciation, personal exploration, and to foster mutual understanding between our countries. Bridge USA programs attract around 300,000 people from 200 countries and territories. Maybe they should make all these 300,000 visas teachers. Then we wouldn't have the shortage anymore. But no, the J-1 visa has different categories. There's teachers, there may be engineers, there may be au pairs. There's many different categories for J-1. Actually, the smallest category are for teachers. It's the smallest category. But we know that these kind of relationships, these exchange opportunities strengthen educational communities, both in the United States and the sending countries. Because ultimately these teachers come back after their 3 to 5 years with a lot of professional development invested in them. The United States spends hundreds of millions of dollars in professional development on an annual basis. We have continual professional development. Most districts have 1 day of professional development or a half a day every single week throughout the school year. Generally, it's going to be like a Wednesday afternoon are dedicated to professional development for teachers. All right. Again, the benefits of participating in International Teacher Alliance are going to be that professional development. As I mentioned, not only does the U.S. invest hundreds of millions of dollars each year into developing teachers, we also, as an organization, have partnered with Northern Arizona University College of Education, as well as some strategic alliances with professors and leadership from San Diego State University who are helping us. And we provide pre-service training, so as soon as you are accepted into the program, you start receiving this training because, hey, I could be the greatest special education teacher in Mexico, or I'd say I'm the best special education teacher in the United States, but coming to Mexico, it's going to look a lot different, right? So we have to understand, how do we apply your expertise and your skills, your knowledge from your home country, how do you apply it in the U.S.? And, you know, as different countries, sometimes we may discipline our children a little differently, right? There's some cultural aspects there. So we want to make sure you understand what we tend to use in the United States is called positive behavior intervention strategies. We want to make sure that we're giving you all those points and support and professional development to help you be successful during your time in the U.S. So not only are we providing that for pre-service, we are committed to you as a teacher to guide you and continue to provide a mentor and professional development during each of your 3 to 5 years in the U.S. That's on top of what you're receiving from your school district. And a big part of that as well is we're providing social emotional support, because you know what? Anybody and everyone gets homesick at some time, because you're living in another country. You may not have your brothers or sisters, your parents, extended family and friends, and you need some support. So we're going to provide you support, someone you can talk to, count on. You know, you might not know, where do I go grocery shopping? Where do I go to the doctor? What do I do if I get sick? How do I go to the hospital? What are those processes? We all would have those kinds of questions no matter where we live. I mean, I remember the first time I ever came to Guadalajara, and I got off of the airplane, I stepped out for the taxi to pick me up, and my heart was pounding because I thought, oh my goodness, my Spanish is not that great, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. You know, I know that feeling. I've lived that. You know, I've lived in different places in the world, so I certainly understand. So we want to provide that support to help you feel comfortable, help you feel supported, and we're there for you the whole time that you're in the United States. You're not alone. And you're also plugged into our network of over 400 teachers who've already been there and done that. So you're able to talk with them, say, hey, these are some of the issues I'm having, and they can share their information with you as well. All right. So I talked about the professional development. As I mentioned, it starts when you're selected before you even come to the U.S. It's structured based on the requirements of the state that you're going to be working in, or some of the big systems have their own ways of doing things. So we make sure to acquaint you with the way that they do things in systems such as Los Angeles Unified School District or the Phoenix Union High School District. And again, it's not only pre-service, but it's ongoing throughout your entire stay with us in the U.S. So here, what it looks like, a snapshot of what the PD is. The first year, you're going to have quarterly professional development sessions online. You'll have text to review and read that provide bibliographic resources, and you'll have synchronous sessions online. The second year, upon arrival in the U.S., you'll have quarterly professional development series. You'll have responsible cultural pedagogy, again, adapting to life in the new country. And you'll have classroom management, as I talked about, the positive behavior intervention skills, cultural adaptation and planning, information technology training, and standards alignment, how to align to the standards of your state and local school, and community development. Also, there are additional areas according to our objectives. Now, you may be wondering, I'm sure, what are the requirements? What do I need to have in order to qualify for this program? So let's talk about that. You must be currently working as a teacher. You must possess a minimum of the equivalent to a bachelor's of art or bachelor's of science degree in an education-related field. And this would be demonstrated by a foreign credential evaluation. Anyone that went to school outside of the United States, you apply for a foreign credential evaluation, and that will tell us if you have an equivalent to a 4-year degree. which some cases you may graduate in 3 years. It's still considered a 4-year degree because of the content. I want to make that clear. You must have a high level of English proficiency, of course, because even though we have more opportunities for teachers to teach in Spanish, you still need to be able to immerse yourself in the culture of the United States for the exchange. So you must demonstrate a high level of English proficiency. You must have letters of recommendation from your current employer and past employers, and background checks. You'll submit to a background check. You get one from your local municipality, from your city or state, and then as well as the district will run one on you, as well as the U.S. consulate will run an Interpol check on you. So I always tell our school districts in the U.S., these are the most vetted, the most checked and cleared teachers you could ever hire, because you're getting it at several different levels. And you must provide a validation of economic means in employment. Now, so again, you just have to be able to demonstrate you're currently teaching, right, and that you've taught in the past at least 2 years. And then it's very important that you have enough money to set yourself up. Part of the reason we do not believe in charging fees to teachers to be part of this program is because it would cost us, any one of us, if we moved across your same city or moved to a different state or a different country, it costs money. It costs money to move. So I'm just going to tell you straight. I know heard some of our other friends from other countries may not have talked about figures, but I believe in letting you know so that you never come back and tell me, well, Jason, you never told me it costs that much to move. So I'm going to tell you, so get ready and hold on to your chairs, but you need to save up between, I'd say, $4,000 to $6,000, depending on the state you're going to move to. If you move to New York, that's going to cost more than if you're moving to Michigan or Nebraska or Arizona, okay? Because realistically, in some of those big cities like New York or San Francisco, that could be $2,000 of rent per month. So what I'm saying is, please, I want to clarify, that money is for you. We are giving you guidance so that you go into this with your eyes wide open, so you can save money to have your money to deposit for an apartment or home, so you have money to put food in your mouth and your stomach, so that you can buy new clothes, whatever you need to get yourself set up in the United States. You save your money, you keep your money to take care of yourself and your family. Because yes, you can bring your family on a J2 visa. You can bring your legally wed spouse and your dependent children up to age 21. You can apply for a J2 visa once you've been approved for J1 visa. Now, I must mention that it's not guaranteed. Even though J2 visas are generally approved, it's not guaranteed, because just as you have to go through the interview process with the U.S. Department of State and be approved for a visa, your family also has to be approved for the visa. Okay, so just to set that. And your spouse is able to apply for a working permit. That takes about 3 months to process once they've arrived in the U.S., but then your spouse could also work and you can have a dual income, which really helps. And then your children get to attend the schools of your choice there in the U.S. So it can be a great experience, a cultural opportunity for the entire family. Okay? Here's the states that we have been working in this past year. You can see we have 15 states. We actually have agreements with 26, but we ran out of visas. It's first come, first serve when it comes to the number of visas we have, because we'll have at least 500 this next year, and that goes pretty fast, especially when you need 300,000 teachers, right? So we're in more than 60 school districts in these states. So I just recommend, if you don't like living in cold weather, don't go above this line. Stay down here. Because, I grew up here and it gets really cold. And again, it's our current participation. We have more than 400 teachers coming from more than 30 countries, including Mexico, Nicaragua, India, Colombia, Cameroon, Ghana, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, Kenya, Philippines, and I mentioned earlier, Guatemala. Our current activities that we're doing is we are facilitating collaboration with educational institutions across Mexico and Latin America. But we want to be really good neighbors. Mexico, United States, God put us together, and so that's what we say, especially between Arizona and Sonora. If God made us neighbors, we can at least be good neighbors, and that's why we really started the work there, and we're proud of the fact that we have 36 teachers from Sonora, and that's where we started our first memorandum of understanding is with the Sonoran Secretary of Education and Culture. But we're here because we know that Guadalajara has amazing teachers and a lot of teachers. So we want you to apply. So we do provide workshops organized by ITA teachers that we'll make available to those who want to tap into the resource to share about their experiences and some of the instructional strategies they've learned while working in the United States. And application of K-12 teachers to the ITA program is open now. I encourage anyone who's interested to start applying now because it is a lengthy process. About 6 months it takes from when you originally apply, you're approved to the program, to the point where you interview with school districts, selected for a job, get to the visa interview, get approved for that before you even come to the U.S. There's a lot we do in between there. So in the best practices implemented in education communities at home countries, we are sharing that through our network as well. Well, again, it's my pleasure to be here with you at Recrea Academy. I want to encourage you to recreate yourself as a teacher. I'm sure that even if some of you may not be in a situation you can come, chances are you probably know someone who'd be interested in this program. So let's recreate ourselves. Let's change your future. You may never thought about, well, can I teach in the U.S.? Well, now you know there is an opportunity for you. Reinvent your practices by experiencing what it's like to teach in another country like the United States. You can change your perspective, literally change your perspective. Part of the reason I love to teach 7th and 8th grade history is because of the social studies element. You're traveling the world, getting to know other cultures. It opens up our minds and it opens up our hearts. And that's what we need more than anything today, is to open up hearts, change people's minds, build the relationships between our countries, and make the world a better place, right? So we encourage you to be part of the ITA experience. We have several folks here who can help answer your questions. Adalberto Calderon is here. If you have questions, we also have Sergio Espinosa and Ramon Aguilar is in the back, and I'm also available. So we want to make ourselves available in these corners. If you want to come ask questions directly, we'll be happy to help you. And we could take a couple questions from the audience as well.
Is there any questions? Just please raise your hand, and we'll come close with the microphone.
Hi, my name is Sergio. You were mentioning that you require teachers like specifically math, science, and special education. But what about the English teachers?
Please make no mistake. We need teachers for every area,
because
even English.
I'm an English teacher, and I'm not going to go there and teach English.
Well, sure. No, but we do have a lot of... Yes.
So it doesn't matter if I am an English teacher.
Well, it's actually very good that you're an English teacher. Let me tell you why. Because San Antonio Independent School District in San Antonio, Texas,
Thank you.
Actually in Northeast Independent School District in San Antonio, both started a pilot with our teachers. They took 25 teachers each district, so 50 teachers went. They were English teachers. The majority of that group actually came from Benito Juarez in Oaxaca. They were trained to be English teachers. Now they're teaching English as a second language classes for us in San Antonio, in those two districts. So we do have excellent opportunities for you.
We have another question here. Hey, by the way, I need to ask you myself something.
Sure.
I took a picture of something that you put on the screen, and it says here that in the States, you study to be a teacher.
Yes.
After you finish, you have to take a test to be certified as a teacher.
Yes, that's correct.
Here in Mexico, it's different.
Yes.
In Mexico, you finish school, then you go to school and give
That's
classes.
right.
You don't need to be certified.
I think it's better. I think that's better. Excellent question. So yes, United States, we go to school. Not only do we pay to go to school, a lot of money, then you have to pay to take a test. And it's just the system. But because of this is intercultural exchange, the United States and our individual states will recognize that you meet the requirements in your home country. So when you come to the United States, we're also going to recognize that there are no tests necessary for the most part. You're given a special international teaching certificate.
Hi, my name is Maria. I wanted to ask you something that I didn't understand quite well. You said that if we wanted to apply, we need to save some money to prove that we can live there.
Yes.
But once we save the money and we start to work there in the States, are we going to receive a salary as teachers?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking that question. So, yes, that money is just there to make sure you can survive until you start getting paid.
To start there.
That's right, exactly. Because absolutely, you are going to be placed on the teacher's salary schedule the same as I would be. So what the district does, they take your level of education, if you're a bachelor's degree, master's, or doctorate, plus the years of service that you've already teaching, and the higher the education level and the more years of service, the more money you're going to be offered for your contract. And you're paid generally, in most states, every 2 weeks. Texas is unique, they pay one time a month, but it's a big check for the month. But all the other states pay every 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you receive all the benefits. We're going to provide you medical benefits, dental, vision, counseling services. We have very excellent insurance that will be covered. Okay.
I have another question. You say English proficiency. On the European reference, what are we talking about? B1, B2?
I'm going to defer that to Adalberto, because there are a lot of states that don't require a specific score. But Adalberto, you want to share information that you found out about that from some of the states?
Sí, muchas gracias, maestro Simón, por la pregunta. Y bueno, comentábamos hace unos instantes que estábamos tomando como un buen dominio del idioma inglés, un B2. Un B2 estaríamos informando particularmente ya en cuál estado va a ser seleccionado el maestro para decirle exactamente qué nivel tendría que evidenciar de alguna manera. Pero por lo pronto, según el marco de referencia europeo, sería un nivel B2, C1, C2 de preferencia. Pueden también, con todo gusto, si ustedes tienen esa duda de qué nivel de inglés poseen, podemos hacer un diagnóstico. Tenemos socios estratégicos que pueden realizar esa actividad y podríamos recomendar si requieren algún tipo de curso, algún tipo de nivelación de la cual tendrían que ser parte.
Excellent, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other question? Yes.
Hello, my name is Marta. Is there an age limit for any kind of teacher?
I love this question. No, there's no age limit. It's illegal. In the United States, it's illegal to discriminate against age.
That is good. I hope we learned that in Mexico.
And I always tell people, because I know when I first started working here, and everybody put a picture, and their birthday, I said, don't put your picture, don't put your birth date. Because we don't, those are things we've learned that can discriminate. Do not include that stuff.
Not in Mexico. If you're looking for a job, it says from 18 to 35.
Yeah, and you got to look good too.
I know. You got to be good looking,
that.
especially if you're going to work in the bank.
Well, as an HR director, you can imagine, first time coming from the U.S., I'm like, oh my gosh, they're asking those kind of questions. We go to jail.
Anybody else have any other question back there? Go ahead.
I think it is important to mention, and this is especially for you, Simon, and taking into consideration the comment that you said about outside and all that. Some teachers have asked us if when they see this program, they see it. Oh, this is too good to be true, and the real thing is it's too good to be true. But that's why I come from Sonora. I'm a personal advisor for the Ministry of Education in the state of Sonora and for international affairs. So we signed in Sonora, as Jason mentioned, an MOU. And why did we do that? We did that because some teachers were like, they didn't have the confidence of the program. It says, you know what, I like it, but I don't know if it's true or not. So once we signed the contract and with the authorities in Sonora, that makes it more official for them.
Yes.
Because we have, as a backup of this program, we have the Secretaría de Educación del Estado de Sonora. So taking this into consideration, I think it will be a good idea, Simon. Probably you can take the lead here and take this to the Minister of Education of the state of Jalisco, and so we can have more teachers applied in the program, and they can feel more confident that the program is real. No, and it's happening. And we also just had a conference with Normales before this talk, and all the Normales are really interested in taking this program. You know, like we're planting the seed with the new generations that are coming.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was my comment.
And so
Ramon, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramon. One thing we're doing is also meeting with leadership at CEP in Mexico City, and really talking with them not only about helping us build the credibility and open up the opportunities for recruitment, because as Ramon said, one of the biggest questions we get is this for real? And the answer is yes, it is. We have over 400 teachers who can tell you. We need help to build that credibility. But also what we're excited about is talking with the leadership in Mexico City and here in Jalisco and in Sonora. What are you going to do with these teachers when they come home? They're going to have 5 years of professional development at a high level, 5 years of experience teaching in the English language. These teachers, so when you participate in a program like this, you're going to be able to return home. If you had this many opportunities before you left, it's going to be doubled. It's going to be tripled because of the experience that you can have while you're living and working and having the experience in the U.S. So be thinking about that. How could Jalisco receive these teachers back and put them in key positions, whether it be helping with Proni, whether it be teaching at the Normales, getting the English language into all the different levels, as well as all the different instructional strategies that are going to be shared during their time. So just something to think about for the future, since we're talking about recreating, right? So I just want to, were there any other questions, last questions here?
There was somebody that asked me a question. I don't see her. Yes, she asked me that whether she's a teacher, but now she's working as a director of the school.
Okay.
Where are you at? And she said, like, do I qualify?
Yes, absolutely. So what you just need to do is just mention that you were a teacher up to the point you went into administration, and that's still counted as teaching because you're working in the school system. We have several that have come to us from being directors at school.
Great. Anybody else? No?
Well, just want to I want to share one story, one quick story
We still
before
have
we
time.
close. And it's about, I know the experience of teaching in a different culture, because even though it's in the same country, in the United States, I grew up on a farm in Michigan, okay? I was born in Texas, but grew up on a farm in Michigan. And, I wanted to experience something different. So I told you I went to the South Side Chicago in 100% African-American community. And I remember in my student teaching, there was a little boy, his name was Elon Love. And little Elon Love had a lot of nervous energy. Just one of those students who could not sit still. So you had to put him right next to your desk so you could keep an eye on him. That was Elon. But I built a relationship with Elon, and I could see that they had a school uniform, and the school uniform shirt was white, which I never understood why they did that, because kids get dirty, right? But I noticed that Elon would come to school every day, and I could tell it was the same shirt, because it would start clean on Monday, but by Friday it was just totally, black. So I remember I talked to Elon. I said, Elon, tell me. I said, it was alone. I didn't want to embarrass him. I just said, got down on his level. I said, tell me, what happened to your shirt? Do you have another shirt? What's happening? Tell me what's going on. He said, Mr. Hammond, we don't have a wash machine at home. And my mom works all the time. I just can't do it. I said, I understand, Elon. So I want you to ask your mother if this is okay. I'm going to buy you another shirt so you have two. Every day after Monday, you're going to come in and you're going to see me before the other students come into class, and you're going to give me the dirty shirt. I'm going to give you the clean shirt, and I'm going to take the dirty shirt home, and I'm going to wash it for you. No one else has to know, but I need you to ask your mother if that's okay. Little Elon came back the next day and said, Mr. Hammond, my mom said thank you. And so that was our agreement for that year. And that just, it's those connections, connecting to, you don't have to be the same race, you don't have to be of the same culture, but being relevant, being responsible. You're able to connect with that child. And Elon went from not doing well in school, but by the end of the year, he was one of the best students because we made a connection. And he knew that we cared, and we crossed over those cultural borders. So I tell you that just to say this can be a great experience for our students and for you, and we together can make the world a better place, and that's the cue for the song. So I'm going to put this on, and mind you, we're still going to be hanging out. If you have any personal, individual questions, we're here to answer them. But thank you so much for your audience today. Thank you for paying attention, and I just wish you all the best as you recreate yourself in the future.